The threat all came on the left side. We wear red, but it felt like blue bandana on the left side, aka Garnacho left side. And you don't wanna get on his wrong side. Got Spanish stones in Moss side that will leave a man offside. What? The threat all came on the left side. We wear red, but it felt like blue bandana on the left side, aka Garnacho left side. And you don't wanna get on his wrong side. Got Spanish stones in Moss side that will leave a man offside. What? Anthony got his goal on the right side, but with the left foot, he's on the right side. That's the red side. What? Yo, this is the OT99 Banter Room where opinions are shared and smoke gets served. Look, you're joined today by NK, Edwin, and a special guest. Look, this is called by the name of Hugo. He's an Arsenal fan, so this is a bit stressed. So we're going to get into that side of things. We're going to be playing them, as you know, very, very soon. But, you know, we've got to take care of business first, which is Manchester City. But let's talk about the Charlton Athletic game quickly. It was a game that weren't really setting the world ablaze. No fireworks there. But there were some positives to take out of the game. So we're going to get into that briefly. And we're going to talk about our chances of winning the EFL Cup, actually. And then, wait, the draw. Was the draw today? What happened with the draw?
Yeah, I think it's going to be today.
After the game, right? After the City game. Then they're going to do the draw.
Yeah, I think either before or after. But only people who are still fighting for trophies will know. Some clubs don't know about that.
But, shots fired already. But yeah. So we're going to get into it. So, my boy, Hugo, Ed Weezy, you can see him down there. NK, you can see him over there. And we're going to get into it. So look. Manchester United against Charlton Athletic. Let's get into it. Edwin, look, Manchester United got the W, 3-0. We saw some debuts of Mainoo. We saw a debut for Palestri after like how many years? Look, that was significant. What was your thoughts on our overall performance, man?
I think a win's a win, isn't it? It's a game we should have won. We actually looked all right in the first half, but what I saw is that a lot of possession, a lot of good movement, but there was no end product. Like, we're still lacking on that third, like certain players. Like, I know Garnacho had a good game, but some of his end product at times wasn't the best. Even though Anthony got the goal, he's very negative in his playing. When he does show positivity, he's effective, like you saw with the goal. So,
yeah.
But I don't know, as soon as the ball gets to his right foot, he's scared. He always has to cut back. So, but I think overall, we had a win. Rashford came on, scored 2 goals. Palestri had a good enough showing to have Ten Hag put some faith in him.
Yeah.
17-year-old, I think he needs a bit more time. He played all right, but you can see it was a bit out of his depth. So probably a bit more. Maguire is just Maguire, innit? Like, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of him. So, but I think overall it was a good win. It was a good win. As I said, we're not playing the best overall, but we're winning. So I think 3-0, good result. But we should have scored more. These are the type of games that we need to start like destroying teams to a point where we don't have to bring on Rashford or Casemiro or Eriksen. We can rest them for the big games coming ahead. But you know, it's a good overall good performance.
You touched on some key points, and you touched on a trigger point for me. I was chatting with NK Flan, and we was talking about certain players' performances. He was gassing Anthony. And for me personally, in that game, he got the goal. Like, he does what he normally does, cut inside with the left foot one, the curler. But for me, he didn't do enough in the game. Yeah, he works hard, but he doesn't take on his man. And I think with the fan base, they're getting frustrated that this guy who's got the skills is not taking on their man. On the other side, you see a little 18-year-old running at defenders consistently. And to be honest, people may touch on the fact that he ain't got end product, right? But you see him set up like Eriksen. Eriksen was unlucky, you know, it was a nice block. Do you know what I mean? It's not like to say he's shooting and he's going wide like St. Maximin. He's actually running that guy's trying to pick up the right man. And unfortunately, like, good defending from Charlton prevented Eriksen from getting his goal. Do you know what I mean? You remember that shot, what he got, that he's, you know, was saved earlier on. I think I highlighted to you, NK. Did you see that? Where he sort of took it, like he bent it around. He tried to do it all Anthony finish where he cut inside. He shot, but it was a nice save. So for me, he's doing all the right things. You need to remember, Mainoo's 17. This guy's 18. These guys are babies. If you look at these young bucks,
17.
He's 7. If you look at these young bucks, right, we look at the first thing our mind goes to is Mbappe. or you know, Ansu Fati, all of these guys that are like that level where you're just like, fam, the elite. We're looking at this guy. There's not many youngsters out there, and I like the way that the direction that this guy is going in, like Garnacho. And for me, I could just imagine this guy when he's like 23, 24, if he's continuing in that trajectory under Erik ten Hag of continuously being bold, brave, and direct and taking on guys. So that's a big shout out for me to him. Secondly, Pellistri, man, small cameo. He came on for like 10 minutes, bro. He gets an assist. He was direct. Pick the pass, the right pass, boom. Do you understand? So for me, man, there's some positives in that game. Mainu, didn't really see too much of him. Maybe again, we need some more time, but I would expect guys to take their chance when they get it and pose themselves more in a game. Like, I want that ball, give me that ball. You understand? Because you might not get another opportunity. So that's my little assessment from the little individual performances. There's more, but let me hear what you got to say, NK.
First of all, it was, I think, 8 games that we've won on a row, so that's always a positive when your team is winning. You know, you're always happy being consistently like winning games, so that's positive with the other games coming up too. So I mean, the manager said it himself, you know, we wanted to get to the next round, no if, no buts, you know, so, and they done the job there. And if you want to talk about the individual performance or as a collective, the team performance, it wasn't convincing, you know, especially when we were playing like a League One team. You know, we could have killed the game in the first half, but once again, it's typical Man United. You know, they play. They always make things kind of like difficult. Where in the second half we had to bring on our more experienced players to come in, which should never ever be the case, especially when you play against teams like Charlton. But anyway, we got the job done. On the individual performance, Kobe, who was making his debut, I mean, he wasn't into the game, but I think that was more like a tactical thing where the manager, the way in which he plays his, and he doesn't like them coming deep to get involved in a build-up play. And when you have players like Scott McTominay and Fred, who are naturally not good over there, it's always a struggle for the players who are high up the pitch to get involved. You know, if you're not someone that will roam in and just like leave like your zones to come deep to get a ball, you're hardly going to get into the ball. So I think that was one of the reasons. I would love to see the manager try him in a different position the next time if he does get his position to a different opportunity. But one of the topics that I think has been a very touchy subject among us was our wingers, you know, and we argue with that. And it's very interesting where Edwin started to say, oh, what do you call it? Anthony game was frustration, but then big up that Garnacho had a good game, because
I never said that.
You said he said frustration.
I said no. I said I said that he was quite negative at certain elements, but when he shows positivity, he's effective. So what I'm saying is that he needs to either cut in and shoot or be more direct. He likes to cut back and play neat passing too much.
But then see, and this is what it always comes down to when I talk about people kind of like preference. Because to me, for example, yesterday, I won't say that Garnacho had a good game, because I saw a winger who was literally taking his man on, but the end product was bad, you know. And with Anthony too, I think the frustration with Anthony is because we as fans, we just used to this type of like way, or this type of where we always talk about our wingers running down the wings and just doing that. So I think that's what it is. Anthony, this is how he is. He either get the ball, either he cut in and shoot or cross, or he recycle the ball. And that's what the manager probably like in him. So, you know.
Let me ask a quick question. Actually, Ugo, let me ask you this question. What would you prefer? Would you prefer a winger that's constantly troubling the opposition defense, beating their man, whipping in the ball, and hopefully like someone gets on the end of it? Or would you prefer a winger that's not in the game entirely, but can get that goal, shows up at the end and can get that goal? So you may know of winger flops like Pepe and stuff in the past, you know, that you can relate to. But what's your thought? What was your thought?
So to me, right there, what you've described is basically the difference between, say, Messi, whenever he played in that MSN offense at Barcelona, being that winger that could provide that spark at any time, compared to maybe an Eden Hazard at Chelsea, with that winger that really wouldn't give you much when it comes to defensively, but he's always a threat to cut inside or either deliver that ball from the outside at any point. So whenever you throw those two at me, I feel like for any team, especially as Man U is performing this season, I feel like you just always have to have the goal threat. You need that Messi. You need that winger that instantly draws over two defenders. You have to now divert all your resources and effort to try and keep him contained, pinned to that touch line. Because if you don't, like you said, you really don't have the stoutness you guys have always touted or kind of rode yourself on in the past. You know, Maguire looks like he's on his way out to Villa here at any moment. There's been other weaknesses with other of your center halves, but you know, it I feel like they would definitely need to get that spark on the outside for sure.
So that kind of follows NK's argument, because NK was just like, you know what, this guy is banging in the goals, and I can't lie, like, as much as it annoys me because I'm trying to get my point across, NK saying, look, this guy is banging in the goals, and this guy's got 5 goals, what, in like 10 appearances right about now, and
you can't fault
contributing to the overall
and we got to take on board, this guy's had what, 12 to 14 games in one of the toughest leagues in the world, and he's still got about 5 to 6 goals. So you remember, he's very fresh in this league, and he was only at Ajax for 2 seasons. So I think we spoke about this a couple episodes ago. Like, it's difficult to be harsh on him when it's his first year here. He has to settle down, and statistically, he hasn't done bad. I'm just saying, when he shows the flashes of greatness, it works. So he should do it a bit more.
But Edwin, it comes down to, and I think this is when we're having a conversation, especially about players, we need to leave our personal preference out, and it's more down to what the manager wants. Because one of the first thing in preseason, that happened, and I don't know if you saw the video. Sancho had the ball, and the manager was literally like screaming at him, "If it's not on, recycle it." That was one of the first things that he was screaming it.
Okay, but on that point, sorry to cut you off, there was 2 or 3 occasions where Anthony had the ball and he could have crossed it, and he cut back, and they passed it all the way.
That's the
what
thing.
Remember, Man United did that negative football. It goes back to the goalkeeper defense.
Bro, my point is,
but then was it on?
Was it on?
No, it was on. He just didn't. He was scared to cross with his foot.
Who was in the box?
NK, do you think that Eric Ten Hag is happy with Anthony's performances outside of the goal that he's getting?
No,
because that's the question that we need to answer. So you say you might like different wingers compared to what we want, right? But what I'm saying is, Ten Hag still wants a certain level of performance, even for his style of wing or whatever that is. And I don't think that what's saving Anthony is he's getting the goals. But Eric Ten Hag, you know, he wants more. Good is not what good enough.
No. But then, Frames, I know he can perform better than what he's doing now. But the
he couldn't even skill up this guy.
But then see, this is the problem.
I say he tried nutmeg man. He had his back towards man. He tried nutmeg man, and it went off.
But then this is what I talk about. When you talk about he want more, this manager know him inside out. He knows that he's a player that never ever uses his left foot, and anytime he goes there, his right foot. Sorry, he knows that he's not a guy that take on his wingers a lot. He knows that. One of the best thing about him is that he always like people there to be playing that kind of like triangle with, and use most of his players to get out. The manager knows that, and he paid 100 million for him.
He knows Donny van de Beek also inside out. He managed this guy. And what I'm trying to say
is he didn't buy Donny. He didn't went to go buy Donny. He went to go buy Anthony.
Regardless, he knows him, and he knows how to get the best out of him. This guy's in a different environment, different team, different league, different atmosphere, different pressure. And my thing is this guy that he knew, he still can't get the best out of him today. And I'm hoping that he can with Anthony in terms of, look, his work ethic's good. I'm happy about that. He's a warrior.
Donny's been injured, so that cannot even be a case.
You can't be making excuses like that, man. How many men have been injured and come back to even resume form or upgrade?
But what I'm saying is, look, with Donny, it's very different, because this one, as I said to you, with Anthony, the manager went and brought him here. Anytime you speak, anytime he's come back and spoke about him, there's a way in which he talk about him. I'm just saying, in the long run, it's more that other wingers will have to adapt into how the manager want to play. Look, Grealish is a perfect example at City. He does not play the same way he used to play at Aston Villa. He literally playing like a robot, where they get the ball, don't dribble, and then just pass. Certain managers like their wingers to play a different type of football. And as time goes on, we're going to see who is going to get the more opportunities. Is it going to be a Garnacho with the way he's very direct, or is it going to be Anthony, who is not direct and will occasionally recycle the football? Only time will tell which kind of like winger the manager will favor.
Look, I told you in the game before this, the game that we won. What was it, 3-0 or whatever? Was it? I don't know. Was it Nottingham Forest? Let me get the result.
Also, whilst you're looking for it, Edwin, what is
Man
it that?
United, hold on, Man United won 3. I think it was against Everton. Man United won 3-1, and I'm sure Martial was involved. Rashford was involved in all 3 goals. Why? Because it was running that guy's direct, ran to the byline, put it in. We've got all of these guys that are doing Anthony now, getting all of these game time, and he's getting goals. But in terms of like, you know what I mean? Like, we talked about Rashford before, where you can say you mentioned his overall contribution in the game was there as well. But there's a reason why.
And what was your answer? Oh, he's scoring goals. That's what you told us.
There's a reason why.
No.
There's a reason.
Go on.
My thing is there's a reason. There's something I can see. There's a reason why the fan base here are looking at Anthony and querying him, and not looking at Garnacho with that same vim, not looking at Rashford with that same vim. Because this guy Anthony is not utilizing all of his skill set. Like, we look at Garnacho and say, you're trying to your maximum ability. That's a development thing. We're looking at Rashford saying, do you know what? Yeah, you're running into traffic here and there, blah 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 blah, but you're definitely, like, troubling guys.
But in fact, this is what I said to you.
It's not troubling guys enough. Like, all that cutting in, and even if you're going to be cutting in, like Edwin said earlier, yeah, look, cutting like a bad. You see, Robin, he loves to cut in, right? Shoot cut it, do what you do, and do it to your highest ability. You've got the speed, you've got the skill set, whatever it is. Even if the man know that you're going to cut in, let them try and stop you still. I'm still gonna cut in my way by ducking you, do a step over, and find that top corner. Do it.
Okay, friends. Let me ask you this: What do you make of Anthony and Delors relationship? What do you make of their relationship anyway? And yesterday too, another thing I want to point out to you yesterday, the goal in which Anthony scored. Players who like to cut inside.
Yeah.
In order for them to cut inside too, the off the ball running of the other players are very key. Instead of them finding that kind of like space to then cut inside and shoot. So what it is, anytime he get the ball, when he have 2 guys there, this is when your fullbacks and even whoever is playing number 10 become very key in terms of like they are off the ball running and drawing people out of position to allow him that kind of like space in which he want to kind of like cut in and either cross the ball, shoot, or either play 1-2 with. And this is the key to, as I said to you, the first goal. What was the first goal that he scored?
What I'm saying is, I don't think our team then is at the stage where we're going to maximize Anthony then, because if he's looking for all those runs and it's not happening, then look, I'm looking at Garnacho, right? You can take a man head on, whether they're on a low block, whether they're playing a high line and it's on a counter, and make something happen. If Anthony's still dependent on what Delors doing, or still dependent on what a midfield is trying to do, what runs they're making, then I don't think the team's yet there to maximize his full potential, because we need guys that understand him, or we need that chemistry to build with him and Delors.
I promise you this,
because we're hanging on this topic for too long.
Yeah, but anyway, I promise you this: if Garnacho is still playing for Ten Hag in 2 years' time, his style of play would change. I promise you this: his style of change. You will see it. You will see it. It is not. No. Because he is very much about those type of managers. See, even look at Pep. When you watch City, look at the way they are wingers. How many times do you actually see City wingers actually skipping past fullbacks like that? You hardly see that. You literally hardly see that. Yeah. And this is what I mean by these possession-based managers, how they do it. And the longer Garnacho play under Ten Hag, he is going to change that boy's game. He's definitely going to change that boy's game, but only time will tell.
Okay. But look, anyway, let's move on. Look, for me, I feel like, just to wrap it up, I just feel like Pelestri needs more game time. He needs Alangalis to go out on loan. I feel like
Pelestri played better than Garnacho, by the way, but they don't want to talk about that.
Man was on for like 7 minutes. This guy. That's what I mean. I can't stand this guy.
Yeah, but you know what? I would say though, I have to keep the same energy. What I said about Rashford, and he's true. If a player's not playing well, right, I think you have to look at how productive they was. And even though he could have played better, he did score a good goal. And I did say that about Rashford the other day when I said, even if he don't play well, if he turns up and scores, so
he said the same thing about Rashford.
Yeah.
But Edwin, my thing is this.
The host said the same thing too. He said the same thing about Rashford.
But the difference is, how long was Rashford on a pitch for?
Well,
no, but
65th minute.
Yep.
Yeah, Rashford came on a game. This is Charlton. He came on 65th minute. He just banged in 2 goals. Look, Anthony, this is Charlton. Like, forget about your style of play.
I know, but do you know? Okay,
but you know what? Like you
know why I'm?
Should be getting 2.
Do you know why I'm not?
At least
you know why I'm not going too crazy on him though? If it's this point next season, fair enough. But it's like he hasn't even had. He hasn't even had 20 games. He hasn't even had 20 games. He hasn't even had 20 games yet. We're judging him like he's been there for 3-4 seasons.
Edwin, even if it's this point next season, yeah. He, in terms of like our target, I don't even know even overall team, he might probably be the second top goal scorer. So even if it's this point next season and he is still the second top goal scorer, what are you gonna say?
Bro, you just brought in a striker called Worst, that played for Burnley. Yeah, we had a good World Cup cameo campaign, but what I'm trying to tell you, Man United's goal scoring, he is the second highest ever. Look, it's Rashford on that, what, I don't know, 12.
Yeah.
It all comes.
13 goals. Rashford got 13 goals.
Or 13. And then you've got the next one, which is 5. But Man United's goals are not coming from everywhere. So that's a poor sort of comparator.
But then how are you going to get onto him if he's the second? Are you not supposed to get onto the other players first?
I'm not talking about his goal scoring abilities.
Goals win you games, innit?
I know. I'm worried though, because at the end of the day, if Rashford gets injured, then what the next person you're relying on is
same player that like Bruno. Same player that same guy that like Bruno for his contribution towards the don't ignore the performance, Edwin, you see what I mean? You want to judge different players differently. I'm not happy this year,
With Bruno, I said 1 year, he makes a lot of he gives the ball away a lot. I do say that, but his work ethic and he can find the killer pass at the end of the day. Yes, that is what Anthony's doing. He's getting that goal at the end of the day, and his work rate is great. But the thing is this Anthony, I'm judging him differently because he's like a dribble. Like, I know him. He's been introduced to me for his ability. Everyone was watching YouTube highlights. Everyone watched a couple of games in Ajax. Everyone saw this guy take on 2 man nuts. So that this is what I saw. This is what I want. Like,
it's not something that he does often, though. That's the problem. It's not something that he does often.
This is what my thing is. It's just like I just see him making. That we don't want multiple Brunos in the club that makes poor decision making. We want.
But you know what it is? I feel like I think it's a bit of a lose-lose or win-lose or however you want to say it for Anthony, because now if he wasn't scoring, we'll be getting onto him.
Because his game isn't rounded out in ways that you can defend him in other aspects. That's why.
I know, but do you know what it is? What he done, what you do in certain leagues, you can't come to the Premiership and do. Like, that's, you know fair. What I mean? Like someone like, let's say Haaland, he's different. He's just built different. Certain players are just built different. Yeah. Like, he doesn't have to do much. But where Anthony plays and the way the Premiership is, they won't let you do all that little spinning stuff, cutbacks. Like, they're gonna take you out. So even when he plays, you can see he doesn't want to be on the board too long to get taken out.
If you can take a player from Man United, if you can take a winger out of Garnacho or Anthony for Arsenal, who would it be?
Well, they certainly wouldn't start. First off, let me go ahead and start there. But if I would have to pick a winger now that I would feel comfortable with bringing on in the 60th, 70th minute, with Garnacho's small sample size, I like his adaptability, man. The man sees different defenses every week, and he always comes with a different solution. I feel like Anthony is like, a lot of people have got that tip off about what he wants to do. So now, instead of, you would expect somebody like that who is aiming to be great, is aiming to be that mainstay in the starting 11, to now be on his game about, well, how do I come differently every game? And I'm not seeing that. The man's always making live decisions each game. He doesn't really come with a preset plan. And Garnacho, the ones that I've seen, I mean, he's sizably wise. He's a threat already at what, 5'11", almost 175 or so. The guy has that quick switch about him. He doesn't hesitate in making his decisions. When he sees that pass, he takes it first time. I mean, I would have to go with Garnacho, honestly.
But it's interesting that you said I want someone to come on. No, it's interesting. He said if I want someone to come on. If you want someone to be starting week in, week out, and Arsenal play possession-based football where at times you have to look over the ball, which winger are you taking? Because the way Garnacho play is more risky. If he loses the ball, that's counter back into the team.
Okay, but in that mind, if we're talking like that, while that is also true, Antony is also the type of person that you might see the ball get stuck with or muddled with too much, because Arsenal's form of possession football isn't the same as the Guardiola possession football. That Mikel Arteta copied the blueprint, but he still added those tweaks to how he wants that ball played. Like Arsenal, beginning of the season, we weren't really playing all the way back to the goalkeeper and a lot of resetting our sets. We weren't going and recycling the ball all the way back. We would often play it back to the fulls, and then from the fulls, they would either work it back into Partey or Xhaka, and from there, they can then incite the ball in the play to move forward. But now when these, like against the Newcastle game, we were playing it back too much to Ramsdale. Even the granted, that was back when everybody was coming back, but watching the club friendly between AC Milan, I saw that we were playing a lot of defensive possessive football, not really attacking in the midfield, not really pressing high up. And so I feel like that would be the type of ball that, the way we're playing now, I wouldn't want Antony in, because that type of character gets too comfortable then at having the ball in his own half that much. He gets too comfortable in just playing 1-2 back with the center half and maybe the winger. He isn't as enterprising as he is. And so I would rather have a fullback that takes that risk, that runs up, that makes that like that exposing run for sure, or makes that decision that takes him out into the field, than have somebody that always wants to be too possessive. I feel like playing too possessive was honestly our problem last season. That's what led to that meltdown. You know,
but the thing is, because and me, the difference is, and I think with us fans, I think we judge our players based on where we are now. Right now, I'm not even gonna lie. The way in which where we are now, we need wingers who are more direct, because we don't really have the combination play in our team. You know, the wingers and the strikers don't really play that kind of like combination play. You know, and even as a winger too, our wingers don't cross enough, because we never really have like the presence in the box to kind of like cross.
Yes.
So anytime they get onto the wings, they either stuck in terms of like what to do. But because of that, fans are looking at what the wingers are doing now, and then necessarily looking at what will happen when this new target man comes inside, who is going to be someone in the box. Then let's see how the other wingers are. You know, but ultimately it's all about where the team is going. I think that's where the manager is going to try to recruit. As I said to you, if it's a case where the manager buy players to suit more of Antony's style of play or Garnacho, we will know. But eventually, you probably like need two different type of like wingers anyway. You know.
Yeah, that's a fair point as well. I could definitely see a situation where maybe they might have to bring in a new attacking mid, honestly, as somebody that can create that link up play in the middle, to where now they don't have that responsibility of bringing the ball up the field. They don't have the responsibility as being the first primary option on the wing, and can focus more on getting,
give us bodyguard.
No, look elsewhere, please. So, you know, they need that engine, because when Bruno first came into United, he was that engine. He was that guy that was constantly outsourcing, constantly keeping everybody moving and everything like that. He's fallen off this season now. I don't know what's led to this drop off in form. But
you know what I always say, Bruno never fell off. It's just that the goals have disappeared, and we're actually seeing he's not that good. Like, I've said this from the beginning. I've said the goals, and the goals were like a facade. You know, like a little bell. Because think about it. Nothing's changed about him. It's just that we ignored the lack of gameplay by him because of the goals.
But I'll say though, even though he was the primary pen taker, majority of those penalties Bruno drew himself. He put himself in those positions.
Bruno's involved in every single, like, check it. Bruno is involved in every single, 70 to 80%, let me just be more realistic, of Manchester United's goals. Check it, whether it's the assist or the pre-assist. So within the 3 touches of the ball, 2 to 3 touches of the ball, with a bit going in the net, Bruno's involved. Bro, people overlook that,
here is a thing, because even this season as Man United anyway, we had seen that play moments. We can go a whole game and just have a flat performance, and then within like about a spell of 1 minute, we can do that. But one of the key things about Bruno this season, I think the reason why a lot of fans here are questioning him is that the manager has come and has taken one of the most important things away from Bruno, which is the freedom that he normally have on a pitch. And our former managers, he used to have the freedom where he can go into certain areas. This new manager, especially, I think he's still kind of like twerking with them anyways, you know, at certain games anyway. If you watch him, even the last game that he played in, he was not allowed to come deep. Other games, I think the manager gave him freedom to come deep to be on the ball. Because he is a more
deep. Casemiro.
Bruno is more like a high reward. Like he would try it 5 times and he will get good, 2 of them good. But if the manager is not making you come deep to be much on the ball, it means that you need to be more efficient. Like when you get it once, you need to get it right. And I think this is why he's struggling this season. The role in which he's playing, he is not happy with it.
Yeah, it doesn't suit him.
Yeah. So his best game this season was against Tottenham, and that was because he had 2 defensive guys in there that could not progress the ball, and he was allowed to come deep, pick up the ball, and he flourished in that. He literally flourished. So it's all about the manager, man. In the long run, we will see what kind of role he brings for him.
Manchester United play Arsenal on the 22nd, right? We play Arsenal on the 22nd. So we've got City first, our next game on the weekend, followed by Palace, and then we've got Arsenal. It's going to be a tough game because I think that Palace game was that additional game that we skipped, right? So that's our game in hand. So it's going to be tough, right? Because there's not too many days before we play Arsenal. I think it's like maybe 3 or 4 days. So it's going to be mad, right? It's going to be tough, right? So what's your goal predictions? Like, obviously we got the better DM in the world, like Partey or Casemiro. Obviously we got the best. There's no argument there. There's no debate. So that's someone that can walk in the Arsenal team. You know, was he there in the first game? I don't know. Casemiro was there in the first game. I'm not sure.
No, Casemiro didn't play the first game. No, he didn't play the first game.
So this is going to be a whole different midfield, because literally you can actually say that this is going to be a whole different midfield with Casemiro in it, because the quality that he's producing defensively and offensively, I'm talking like an American now, offensively, is a mazza. So for me, I'm expecting us to go into that game and show what we're about, man. Continue this winning streak. Look, after all, Arsenal's the first game that they lost or the only game that they lost in the league. Is it the only one against Man United?
Yeah, only lost so far. But I'll tell you this, right? I feel like Eriksen starting in mid was to your advantage, because Partey is now, if he's not the best, definitely top 2 in the league, DM. And his own thing that he struggles with that I've seen is the shifty mids. The mids that will quickly take the ball and move. You know, whenever you want to make a decision against Partey and you want to look and you want to see, that's when he uses his physicality and his size and his frame to overpower you and quickly narrow your scope of vision. But Eriksen, like the combination of playing Bruno and Eriksen like that, it's like you have to deal with, one moment you're here, you're squaring up a defender, marking him properly. Next moment you have the next mid making an even quicker run behind you. And Xhaka at times can be a little bit flat-footed in that essence. So I felt like Partey felt like he was maybe stretched too thin in that first meeting. But with Casemiro really settling down and slowing that pace of play, I really feel like you guys are going to see the true challenge whenever it comes to playing a true midfield trio.
Sorry, like what did you say? Was slowing what? Was slowing play?
Casemiro, yeah? You think it's Casemiro?
Casemiro's how old, my friend?
No. But see, my guy, I always I make this point here, and they attack me for it, because I said to you, off the ball, tackling wise, he is very good, but on the ball, he's always kind of like a question mark with it, because when you try to make him that playmaker, he struggled with
that
it.
Ball and that you saw him against Charlton,
I'm not talking about.
Everyone can recognize Casemiro's qualities defensively.
I'm not talking about the passing bit. Friends, I'm talking about, and that's to say, when you watch the games, anytime he has been, when he get a ball, they press him, he struggled to move the ball high out of the pitch when he get pressed, because it's not his game. This is what United fans are struggling to accept it, and they would rather pick up him doing that one pass to say, oh yeah, he can pass it. But when you watch the game, look at even Everton anyways, that Onana guy, anytime he's facing twice this time, Onana has troubled him because they presses him. Any midfielder in the world, when you give them time on the ball, they can control the tempo.
Yes.
But it's what happened when you get pressed and players are pressing you. What can you do? And I feel like that's what the problem is. Casemiro's game.
No, but you're right. And you know what the problem is? Because obviously when he was at Real Madrid, he had Kroos and he had Modric that done all that progressive football and dribbling. Yes. So he really just could stay defensively. Although we've got Eriksen, we do need someone else in there that could do a bit more, because I think he's trying to he's had to take up more roles than he had to, like play defensively and also distribute. And that's not, like you say, that's not his game, but he's been forced to. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, because we have seen Casemiro give the ball away a lot in dangerous positions.
Exactly.
You know but the manager has changed that, because our last league game that we played
here is just amazing, bro. It's too much, bro.
When you face proper competition, that's what happens.
Man United is living off Casemiro right button.
No, that's a fact.
And that Man United is becoming, Man United as a team have been challenged when it comes to being able to be press resistant. This isn't a just Casemiro thing. And look, in my opinion, I would rather Casemiro be the one with the strength, physicality to be able to shield the ball than them like Eriksen getting pressed.
I think the fans get kind of like confused. Look, Casemiro in our midfield right now, he's our best midfielder. But ultimately, you need to understand his weakness.
He's the league's best midfielder.
That is your opinion. So you can
let me just tip my head and say,
what are we doing here?
Reality.
But I thought you have to say defensive midfielder. You can't say midfielder.
You can't say midfielder.
Defensive midfielder, you can say is the top, but not all midfielders.
Let's have a consensus. Can Casemiro walk into any team in the league?
I think he
can. I think he
does. I think he can.
I think he replaces Rodri. I think he replaces what? I don't want to hear it. I think he replaces
City play for different type of DM though.
I think he replaces Xhaka or Partey.
No, not Partey, but he'll replace Xhaka.
Okay, fine. He walks in. I think he replaces, who else does Liverpool got? Fabinho. He's done.
Who's he replacing City?
That's what I said, Rodri.
No, but then see, Pep played Rodri as that playmaker, man. I don't see that, man. I don't see that.
Man. He's replacing Rodri, bro.
No, Pep don't want a destroyer, man. Pep want a playmaker.
Bro, he's not a destroyer. That's the thing. He's not only a destroyer, but this guy.
Bro, he's a destroyer, man.
When this guy came into Manchester United, I thought, he was gonna be like that brute. Bro, this guy's got a lot more finesse.
Bro, this is
it's not too much finesse. It's not too much.
This is the point that I was making. And then
blasphemy.
When you stop it, look. When it comes to tackling and being a destroyer, he is the best at it. But when you're talking about that guy that is in there controlling tempos, he's not the guy, man.
That's not his role. That's not his role.
That's not his role.
Exactly my point. So when you're talking about City with Rodri, they want someone there that literally will be pinging the ball left, right, stop. That's not Casemiro, man. So we need to accept that. Literally need to accept that.
Control tempo.
Yeah, but we didn't see him, but that's what Partey normally does for us now. When they get the ball, and they just pinging it, bam, bam, bam. That's what they do.
That's how we move. But I'll also say this: so in this 8-game win streak, right? Who has had the most challenging midfield you guys have played? I have my own answer, but I want to hear from you all. Who in this past 8 games? Who do you guys think have challenged you the most in midfield?
Oh, with all the games that we've won?
Yeah,
the Premier League games.
No, of all the games. These past 8.
In all our games, I would say the one that challenged us the most was the Newcastle game. Physically, it was a very physical. Actually, when we play you guys were right, but we didn't need that kind of like.
But we didn't. But it was a bad matchup against us. But me personally, right? I think that game against Wolves, when you had to go against Coutinho, Neves, this might, because those all three of those midfielders are very, very balanced, and they have that great blend of playmaking as well as some defensive stability. And so I felt like that, having to deal with whenever you get those midfielders that can go both ways like that, that's whenever it really brings out the problem in Casemiro's game, because now he has to as well focus on, these guys aren't going to let me play my simple pass like I usually do. They're in my shirt.
Our team, our midfield, we struggle against any midfield that are tactically good. Look at anytime we face the Spanish teams, they pass us off the pitch. Wolves, for example, if you look at Wolves, right, they got what do you call it? Neves. Them guys are very technically very good. Anytime we face those guys, we struggle with that type of like midfield. So
I think that we struggle with. High energy teams that press and press consistently, and coupled on top of that, where they've got fast forwards, like they just stress us out. The fast forwards, like when we play Aston Villa and we got battered against them 3-1. That Bailey guy, the speed, and he can go left, right. He just troubled us. The midfield was on it. When I looked at their midfield, Aston Villa's, I said this is gonna be a problem. They just got workhorses, the Ramsey and all of them guys there. I just thought this is gonna be a long day. Like with Arsenal, we struggled with Arsenal in that game, and we were lucky to get something out of that. We struggled because they came with the maddest intensity. Look, we played Arsenal in the past, where they've blown us away in the first half. Why? Because we're still asleep. While them come out off the block, fast, quick, pressing us. And Man United, I feel like, have since shown a lot more resilience. Because Man United was weak there. We were feeble there. Now we've got guys that are saying, okay, wait, you're trying to come to me. Casemiro's going to be like, what? You're trying to come to me with your high energy. Fly kick. Martinez, what? See that scar, that little chip on his face, that blood for the little cameo. Warrior, bro. He said, you know what, I'm not afraid to get stuck into any challenge. I'm not on this Lindelof, no offense to Lindelof, free-ball thing, or Maguire, like not even being quick enough to even get involved in action type. We've got Mandem, like Malacia, that is like, we've got Mandem, like Cass, we've got Mandem, like
but friends, you know, I feel
that is gonna be up to the challenge, bro.
Friends, I feel sorry for Arsenal, you know.
And Arsenal's getting smoked. Let's just be honest though.
I feel sorry for Arsenal, bro, because look.
In what sense?
Bro.
No. Let me tell you this. And me, I'm a guy. The stuff that I say come through, these people will tell you that.
Oh, don't trash!
Look, right now, the points gap is 9 points.
Well,
between
if we bet on red, throw everything on black. Like, throw everything.
No. Look, it's 9 points, We're beating City. You must have listened to Tottenham.
Listen. Stop. Just don't jinx the thing. Don't say anything.
Who is losing to who?
NK's gonna jinx the whole thing, bro.
No. I'm not jinx, man. I'm telling you this. Look, we beat City. Arsenal lose to Tottenham. That becomes 6 points. We beat Crystal Palace.
And then you wake up.
we beat Crystal Palace. That becomes what? 3 points. We beat Arsenal. We level on what? 7 points. We are doing a title challenge. I'm telling you,
this madman chat. This madman chat here. I'm hearing go.
Gosh,
this is madman chat.
Okay. Do you know I'll come and find you in the States.
That Palace game is away. That's a funny team historically for us. Yeah, I was even looking at their head-to-head before I jumped on that. There's a lot of times where Man United are drawing that game or losing that game. Yeah, like overall, the probably is like weighted 60-65% to Arsenal.
But you're talking smoke about Arsenal. That game is also away too, and you're talking smoke.
Exactly, and that's why you're not winning it.
The thing is with Arsenal, Man United's likely to go like full squadron, right? We're likely to do that. We're gonna look at after that. We're gonna be exhausted probably if Arsenal come up playing the same way they did. A couple days later, we're playing Palace. Are we going to change the squad? Or are we going to keep the same man starting? Are we going to have to make
no, but then, friends, no, the finish.
Then you're thinking about City right after that. So you're thinking, what do I do to maintain? You know what Eric Ten Hag is with Martial? He's not going to play in the full 90. You know what he's going to be like with the... I don't know what Delo's even saying, if he's even going to be available. Okay.
No, but then, what I'm saying is that it's what do you call it? We play City on Sunday. It's Sunday, Wednesday. It's Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday. So it's like if you play in Europe or Champions League, that's exactly how you play anyway. So I don't see this whole thing about squad rotation. It's like midweek, weekend.
No, well, it's important because Arsenal won't have a week. That Wednesday that you guys play, Arsenal from the 15th North London derby to the 22nd against Man U. There's no game.
Yeah, it don't matter anyways. We don't need a week record. It's only Arsenal, man. A week rest against Arsenal, Bro, don't need that.
You can already see Eric Ten Hag thinking about the next fixtures. When you see him not starting with certain man, bringing on certain man off the bench and all of these things.
It's for a reason, man.
It's for a reason. He's trying to, especially Martial, trying to protect that guy. And at the minute, you know, we need his goal scoring ability.
But let me ask you this question too, because as an Arsenal fan, and even for the Premiership, anyways, this weekend to me is very, very, very crucial in terms of the title race, because potentially it can go from a 2-horse race to a 3-horse race, or it can end up being a 1-horse race.
A runaway, exactly.
Yeah, so it can be a runaway. So I feel like this weekend is very, very crucial.
Arsenal lose everything, like knocked out of cups, knocked out of the race. This is that point where it's coming down to it, because they've got Tottenham, Derby away. They've got Man United at home. That's going to be a tough game as well. Then they've got FA Cup sandwiched in between that before they
against City.
Against City. So imagine they lose both games, right? Knocked out against FA Cup. Morale's low. They go against Everton. Everton's got a new manager by then. Spank them as well. Take points off them.
Not possible.
Stress.
Not
then
possible.
They got to play City again, which is long. Like
you see how Man U fans just drink the Kool-Aid over here, man. Let me tell you something, right? And this is something that I've really seen, because not even counting last season, the main difference in this Arsenal team that has put us in the position that we are, Arsenal has shown an extreme focus on getting on the sheet first. We've been scoring first in all of our games. We've been having to get ahead. And that last year's team showed that we have that resiliency, right? So we can go ahead, we can go down 1-0, 2-0, and still battle back for the draw, or even in some cases the win. But now this season, they said we're done with that. We're through. No more. Now we're gonna get ahead. We're gonna get on their necks. Even in that Man United game we lost, your calling card for that game was we didn't score until the 60th minute. You guys managed to stifle us for that whole first half. Even through the intensity, you withheld the storm. You played a calculated game, used the mismatch in the midfield, and proceeded along your way in a nice orderly fashion. Meanwhile, we were trying to scramble and come across. I think Saka came across and managed to slot one home late in. It wasn't our usual game, which is fine. You know, you're not always going to have an invincible season. Might as well the only team to do that again, I might add. But it can happen. It can happen. But when I tell you that a reverse fixture at home, knowing that what we have to avenge, it's not going to be the game you guys think you're going to be. Bring Casemiro, bring Anthony, put Lissandro wherever you want. The squad that's coming back now, especially with ESR back fit, we have too many attacking options. 4 players with 7 goals across all comps. 4 players with more than 5 assists across all comps. Jesus is going to be there waiting for the bench. The fact that Nketiah is now coming into his own, you don't have enough defensive personnel to handle all the angles of attack that are coming. That is the main. That's literally the biggest. You know what's funny about these disappointment.
Whenever they come against Man United, these stats go out the window, because we always stifle and we'll get a 1-0 and go home. We'll get a 1-0 and go home. That's how we do.
It won't happen this time.
Edwin, what's your score results for Arsenal Man United? I know we're jumping the gun because we've got City.
But what Arsenal versus Arsenal? Do you know what? I said this like weeks ago. Yeah, I'm not making any judgment until these 2 games. These 2 games will depict how our season goes. But I think the thing is, it's scary because we beat them, but didn't deserve to. But we did technically. No. Okay. When we beat them, they should have either got a draw at best, or they could have won, right?
Because we're winning our
games now. We're winning our games now, but the only difference is Arsenal are winning but playing better than us, right?
Yep.
So the question is our real test is going to be playing Man City that destroyed us, totally wiped us off.
Yeah.
And then also Arsenal, because Arsenal are playing well as well. There's not like, and the difference with Arsenal of old, maybe last season they were a bit pushover, so we could get the 1-0 and just cruise and defend. But Arsenal are a bit different, so it'll be a tough game. But if we do somehow get, you know what, it'll be a tough game. Like I think you know what it is. Either team could win, to be honest. There's like pros and cons at both, because the only thing I think Arsenal are showing, they're showing a bit of frailty at the back. Like, even though Salaba is playing well, there's few instances you've seen in the last couple games where he just switches off for a minute.
Yeah, and it's to be expected with a player of that age too.
It's true. He's young. I think our best chance is to exploit their defense. Really, if we're gonna do anything, but it's to be seen. We'll see.
I'm gonna be honest though, and obviously this is when we just stop joking. I'm more confident about us beating City than I am of Arsenal.
And you said something now.
And that's just me being on the real, because I don't know, Arsenal, this isn't even at home. Arsenal, they play very good, and one thing you always have to be worried is teams that can in a space of 90 minutes, what it is that they are very consistent in terms of like applying pressure on teams. Yes. And teams who are always able to kind of like do that, they are always dangerous. So the question is, if we play them, how can we kind of like contain them and keep them quiet for that kind of like 90 minutes, you know? And this is the big test too. But I just don't know, I feel like with City, the way City are playing, I think we will have more chance and more joy with City. But with Arsenal, I think it just comes down to on the day where our players are, because we're gonna have to do a lot of running, we're gonna have to do a lot of chasing, and we're gonna have to do a lot of fight. And if we can actually do that, then it don't matter whether Arsenal can control the ball or what. Ultimately, it will come down to the fighting spirit on the day for us. Because honestly, that's how we win that game.
The only way I see Arsenal losing that game to Man U would be in the counter attack, because, like you said, Gabriel and Saliba, to me, is my favorite center half pairing. I'm not really a fan of the Ben White Saliba. Ben White Gabriel works a little bit well, but it's not the preferred. You know, I feel like Gabriel and Saliba is our best defensive front that we could use to field. Also, I don't think Tierney should start ahead of this guy. Let me get his name. Zinchenko, thank you. I don't think Tierney should start in front of Zinchenko when that game comes. You know, I feel like we definitely have to field our full squad. This isn't something that we can go in leaving 2 or 1 of those men off. You know, we have to give Man U that respect, because as we saw in the first meeting, especially whenever you bring on a cat like Rashford that can take your back line in 0.5 seconds, we can be exposed. Ramsdale's a hell of a keeper, but one-on-one, you know, he's not who you want in the goal. You know, I always felt like Emi Martinez.
On your left back, with what do you call it, Zinchenko. I feel like the first game in which we won, the way, and I always knew that it was always going to be a battle, because you know how he plays. He's a very inverted fullback.
Well, yes.
So he spent his time more in the middle, and I feel like Anthony hugging the touchline that day was to Anthony's advantage, because he was hugging the touchline, and that goal that we scored, if you watch it, he was caught in between whether to go to Rashford or stay with Anthony. And ultimately, yes. I think that was very key. So, I don't know, when he play again, I think we will overload that side. Anthony will have the touchline. So, the question is going to be with him is, again, are you going to be watching Anthony, or are you going to be watching whoever play in that striking position? So, because I always feel like the joy always come in between the centre back and your left back.
Look, my thing with this whole Arsenal thing, they're a bit like Man United in the sense of this, right? So I'll say that when Arsenal were in form, this is earlier in the league, right? They were in form. They came up against Man United. Man United took points to them. Man United was in form. We came up against City. City took points of us and dismantled us, right? Arsenal's game against Man United was a bit more tight, and they deserve to win, right? But we got the points. My thing is the teams that Arsenal's beaten, your Tottenhams, your Brentfords back then,
Liverpool,
all of the Liverpool, Chelsea. These teams are teams that we can't say that were in form that half of the season. And same in Man U. Man U got points of Liverpool. We got points of, like, I think we drew Chelsea and everything like that. Drew Newcastle. Lost against City. These teams are not at the optimum. Like, Liverpool weren't at the optimum when we took points of them. Arsenal was. My thing is this period is going to be a key period right now, because what we're seeing now is the Brentford that you played earlier on in the season is not the Brentford you played now.
That's right.
The Brighton you played earlier on in the season is not the Brighton you're playing now. Like, the Liverpool that you're going to play now is still, I don't know, still 50. They're still on this whole up and down thing, so you don't know what you're going to get, but they can blow the team away. But City, right about now, if they want to do anything in the league, they're going to have to make sure that they get the 3 points.
Yeah.
So this is the acid test for us again. This is going to be the acid test for Arsenal, because they ain't played.
Arsenal in the top 5 there. The teams in the top 5, they only played Newcastle, and they didn't even beat them.
Yeah,
because we beat them. Yeah, you haven't played City yet.
That was skeptical. Man U drew with Newcastle. They drew first game.
No.
Yeah, we drew. But I'm just saying. Arsenal hasn't played City yet. They haven't played Tottenham yet. They played us and we beat them. And
we played Tottenham first time this season 3-1.
Yeah, so they got.
Oh yeah. You beat them. Okay.
The second leg is next. But the thing is Tottenham then
isn't Tottenham now.
All these teams, like even now, I'm not even 100%. I can say that they're in good form. They're just funny, man. Liverpool funny, Tottenham funny, City as well is kind of like. But the thing is City needs to get
this
results.
Game. Yeah,
they need it. If they don't, then it could get messy real quick. My thing is it's going to be a true acid test for Arsenal in that sense because they're up against a desperate City. Man United is also up against a desperate City, and then we're going to play against Arsenal again. And I'm just comfortable because I'm in a sense where look, we took points off them at their best, and we're going to play them again. I've seen the worst that they can offer, and as far as I'm concerned, I feel like we've improved because we played them when we were. I know this is not how football works, but we played them when we were at our low. We got out of that unscathed. We're going to play them again when we're on our high. And I don't expect us to be coming out bruised. I feel like we're going to be coming out like, you get me? Going.
Let me ask you: Are you worried about Man United at all? Do you feel like Man United can potentially be there challenging you for the title or even giving you competition with the way we're playing right now? Do you see that with us at all?
I'm scared.
Man.
5 points is
I can see you lot beating City. I'll be honest there. You lot can definitely, because the pace of play that you'll experience there is a much better matchup for you lot. Now, when it comes to the overall end of when it comes down to the Premiership and challenging for the title, I mean, I have to look at the rest of your schedule. Let me see. February, you play Palace, Leeds at home, but still Leeds have they're always a risk, in my opinion. Leicester, you guys should win. And then that's when the Europa starts coming in. March as well for the Premiership. You guys will play Everton, Newcastle, Chelsea, Tottenham, Aston Villa. There's a lot of late season tests for you all as well. So to say that these teams won't have it figured out, I don't know. I'm not really concerned. My main concern is simply that Arsenal has to protect their own fixtures and their own points, because if you look at it, yes, it's easy to say if you keep winning you'll win the league. Yes, but also you have to be strategic with who you're playing, when you're playing. You lot will have to field a full team against City. Arsenal could probably sub off some people. Again, not saying I'm a fortune teller. I'll be able to tell you how the game goes, but the result I'm forecasting for Tottenham, Arsenal will be able to probably sub off some people at around that hour mark, 70-minute mark. Week full of rest, we can come again with the full squad against Man U before we then turn around. To be really honest, I know the FA Cup is always, for our history, a perennial objective, but I know Arteta at the end of the day is really in all focused on the league, because the way we missed out, if we would have got Champions League last season, I would say, yeah, we have split objectives everywhere. We don't really know where we don't really know where it is we were really trying to throw our weight on. But because we, Europa two seasons in a row, really 3 counting the Emery years, because we've got Europa again, we're going to do our thing in Europe. It's not really that big of a concern until we get to the knockout stages. Arteta, that's why I feel like we just bowed out of the EFL, not really focused about that cup at all. FA, we'll just kind of take it as it goes.
The
EFL was just to open up scheduling space, but the FA Cup, I feel like we'll take it as it comes. It's not really our main goal, but the Premiership, man, the Premiership is really the number one focus for that squad. So in terms of being worried about Man U challenging, I won't be able to give an official verdict until I see that City game, because opportune Arsenal scenario, right, is Man U beat City, yeah, and then you guys have to obviously play Palace and then come against Arsenal fatigued, tired. We get our result. Now City is 8 points behind. Man U will be at that point still 8 points behind, and we can then see how the returning Newcastle, Chelsea, and Tottenham fixtures will be done by then. So yeah, it'll be up to Newcastle, Chelsea, and Liverpool to save the Premiership for Man U. And I don't know. At that point, you only need results against 2 of those teams. So
yeah, with me, I don't know. I don't think we're ready there yet because our squad depth. We don't have the squad depth because we are just one injury away from just going back to
disaster.
But yeah. But the thing about Arsenal is that
one injury.
Yeah.
Either
in the forwards or the mids.
Yeah. With Arsenal, I'm worried about the pressure that you guys are putting yourself because you were never ever expecting to be in a title challenge.
No,
and all of a sudden you are there. No, all of a sudden you are there. I feel like you don't have the experience in terms of like how the league goes. So the closer these teams get closer to you, in terms of like fighting for it. Because even in the last game against Newcastle, your manager looks stressed out there, man. And I don't know if he can put that kind of like pressure. I don't know if your because even last season they had the same thing where they were doing toe-to-toe with Tottenham. Eventually they lost it because the pressure was just too much for you guys. So I don't know how.
But my response,
lack of inexperience for going for a title with the players is gonna kind of like end up being for you guys.
No, but my response to that, right, was, and especially watching that documentary, that All In documentary, man, is because let's just be honest. The team last year was Arteta's real first direct stab at his project. That was the team that he presented and said, "This is at least to some semblance who I want to have." Aubameyang had been in form for about a season and a half now, coming off a tie for the Golden Boot. You had Saka fitting in himself, Martinelli scoring the winner against Chelsea, establishing himself as a young gun as well. We didn't have Odegaard full-time as well. You know, there was a worry that Madrid would try to recall him and things of that nature. But when that same team went through the disappointment that they did last season, I feel like that's really what fed into the fire of starting the season the way that they did. Because honestly, you can't say that they have that inexperience, maybe not the title challenging experience, because at the point City was just, City was being City. And so our focus again wasn't for the title, it was for Champions League top 4, which was at that point in the season our title. So in losing that and going through that bitter disappointment and having those young players exposed to what it's like to try so hard, because keep in mind, these same young players also lost the Europa final to Chelsea. There's been multiple situations of not getting over the hump, not being able to cross over that finish line. So that's why I feel like this is really, for such a young group, they really have more experience than people give them.
Actually, the question is how many points do you think you will need to win this league? Because naturally, it's 90 points to win the league nowadays.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself getting 90 points?
I do, actually. I really see. To me, the question is, do we crack 100?
Look, this is
you know what?
That's the question.
I will clip this.
The question is, does Arsenal crack 100?
I will come back to him on that. I said to him,
this is not Edu TV, bro. This isn't. Who cares about what their Arsenal's ambition is? All I want to know is on that game day, match day, are we smoking Arsenal or not? Look, how many points?
Wet cigars.
How many points
wet
is
cigars.
Man United getting in the next 3 games? Yeah. So wait, all I want to know is what is the match prediction against Arsenal first and foremost, and how many points is Man U getting in the next 3 games?
4 points.
Okay. How many points is Arsenal again gonna get in the next? How many is it? 3 games.
7 to 9 points for Arsenal.
What is that table looking like?
4 points for Man U. 4 points for Man U, 7 points for Arsenal.
Do you know what? After looking at that Newcastle versus Arsenal game, Arsenal are there for the taking also. Like, once they're frustrated, they're not as effective. That's what I'm saying. Like, if we can somehow contain them, that's why I said is the interesting is whoever turns up. Man U could beat them and Arsenal could beat them, but I feel like that Newcastle performance, if they had won that game convincingly like they did previously, then I'll be like, oh. But certain games give teams a confidence.
Yeah.
Like, Man United could probably look at that game saying, Arsenal are looking good, but they've showed some frailty. And the same with Man City. They've not had the best of runs of recent. So, what I mean? We've caught them at a good time, I think.
Also,
You know what I mean?
to look at that too, though, that was also the first full game back with everybody back from World Cup for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Newcastle didn't have who did they send to the World Cup?
But then your growth has been drying up for a very long time, though. Your growth has been drying up for a very long time.
Goals have been drying up, man. It's two games we go without scoring. You know, we have the second highest goal scoring, second highest tally behind City, and then we also have the second lowest goals allowed behind Newcastle. We have the best differential, so it's not about the goals drying up. It's about
what's your score prediction in the game then? Man United, Arsenal. What's your goal prediction? What's your score prediction?
I'm saying I don't see, knowing Arteta, I don't see Rashford doing what he's doing, how he ran free that first game, and in that case, I don't see any real threats coming from Man U. I'm gonna go 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0.
2-0 Arsenal. To be completely opposite.
So you disrespected the whole defense.
Saka, and Odegaard. Go ahead and take that to bet 185 if you will.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. First of all, there is no chance Arsenal getting a clean sheet in that game. No chance.
At home.
No chance.
Wow.
I'm telling you this. No chance. I'm telling you, there is no chance Arsenal getting a clean sheet. But with these three games, I feel like Man United are getting 7 points. I'm not going to tell you where we're dropping those points, but I know that we win in 2 and we're drawing 1. That's all I'm going to say.
You guys are winning 1. Hopefully, it's a City game, or it's between City or Palace. Take your pick. Whichever one you want to win, take your pick. Whichever game you don't win between those two,
make sure this guy come back for that Arsenal game. I want him to come back for that game. I want him to come.
And then this Arsenal, and then I'm telling you, because the squad you guys will bring in on the 22nd, you might as well just leave them back in Manchester. Honestly.
When Anthony scored against you, this time I think I will shake my head both. I'll shake my head both this time.
The game I'm worried about is Palace, because Man United generally step up and raise the ante against the top teams. Right, we'll step up against Arsenal even though we're tired. We'll step up against City even though we're tired. If we've got whatever games in between, whatever. Palace is the one that worries me. I feel like if we can get out of there, draw minimum, then I'll take it, even though we want the W. And then
I think it's the pressure is on Arsenal though. The pressure is on Arsenal and City with these games, because look, I think right now top 4 with the way the other teams behind us.
Clouds, they're getting faint. You know when you climb up, have you ever climbed up a mountain and then the air gets thinner? Arsenal's climbed up a mountain, they've been up there for a while and they're getting faint, lightheaded, but they're getting faint.
No way.
And they're right about
it's
now.
It's not possible.
They're about to roll down the hill.
It's not possible. With the stone cold manager like Arteta that's won trophies at Arsenal. Not the Premiership, but he's won trophies at Arsenal. He knows what success is.
Is it the first manager to get 20 wins in like Man United's history in such a sort of place? But anyway, let me just
27 games, 20 wins.
We're like on a fast track. I mean, it took like how long Arteta he came in with all these times, right? Took him to get this level. But
he got a cup for a season. Huh? He got a cup for a season, man.
Well, I'm just winning a cup.
I'm
just winning a cup.
Beat City and Chelsea.
Winning the cup and he's getting the Champions League position. The cup with Champions League. That's what our manager is doing.
You know what I'm saying?
With a bunch of clean sheet too. We're not doing this eight place here. You know.
If we're having this conversation now, what's it gonna look like when Eric Ten Hag's been there for a year or 2? That's what I'm saying. Like when he continues to get that Saudi, I don't even know what type of takeover is gonna be back then, but when he gets his back in that he needs to do what he needs to do. No restrictions, none of this shopping in the bargain bucket, no offense stuff. Worse than one of them man there. Or you know what I mean? But you know.
And see, honestly, this has been the first stretch, because what Sir Alex did was he was really good at retooling. He never had to really rebrand the team. He was always really good at bringing in maybe that was 1 or 2 stars and getting them to buy in. But this recent stretch, Man U's had to operate like Arsenal's been operating for almost a decade now. They're not really spending. They're not cashing out on who they got. Yes, Anthony and Lissandro were your most recent top build signings, but you're not going out and getting those those Benzemas, those Mbappes, those Messis, those top of the line guys. You know, you're not going out and doing that, and you see how it's impacting the club and really impacting the result. That's why, yes, credit to Ten Hag for this crew. Honestly, it's not. I wouldn't even really call it a squad. It's more just a crew of makeshift players. He's been able to draw that result out of them, which you should as a former national team manager, you should have that acuity to be able to work with what you got, right? But this guy Arteta, have we forgot he was an assistant? This is his first major head manager job.
The disrespect.
This is his first head manager job.
I don't want to even hear this come on, man.
So for a guy that's now finding his first post and able to in 3 years find this level of success in the toughest league again. Edwin said it, the toughest league in the world, and he's finding success at his first post. Not to talk of somebody who comes with international experience. Come on, man. What are we saying? What are we saying?
Respect is given where respect is due, in it. Like, he's done well. Look, whatever ends up, he's like, but we'll see, man. Look, we'll see. Like, but
two place. Look,
Edwin, wrap this up for us. We've got like a minute left. Wrap this up.
All right, so we go. Well, welcome, I guess. We show you respect, but look, now you've already entered. Yeah, it's not going to be the same energy when we play. So officially, you have to like agree that you're going to come back no matter what the result is.
Do Gunners run from anything? You called me out on the 8th place finish, and I own it. Yes, that happened. Hey. But also, I need you to acknowledge this is happening. This Premiership time is happening.
Look, let me say this though. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay.
Let's finish up there.
Guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Peace.
Yeah.